I got to get organized. My name is Chris Raymer. I'm a very grateful recovered alcoholic. Can y'all see me okay? What do you think about this coat? It's pretty nice, isn't it? And listen. I mean, we've been here since Thursday night. We're kind of like family. So if y'all want to go ahead and take your clothes off, it's perfectly okay with me. God. Some of you are looking. Did he really say that? Yes. It's hot. Oh my God. I got my Timex right here. Y'all see this? That's what we do in Texas. We kind of look at the watch and make sure that we don't. Yeah, okay. You'll sweat. God, I'm so glad to be here. Myers and I flew over, and we're both members of Ingram Solution Group in Ingram, Texas. My sobriety date is November 13th, 1987. And, yeah. And, God, I just, it's so cool because I spoke in Florida over the years. I mean, it's just delightful to see some of you old folks, and I'm a little pissed that y'all aged better than I did. Literally, I know some of y'all in here for a long time, and it's just so good to see you. And I got to mention real quick, and absolutely thanks to everybody that had anything to do with this, and the kitchen staff and the buffet, the employees here, but all the little volunteers. Guys, I got to tell you, these events are not all created even. Just thanks. This is, y'all spoil me because the one I'll do next month won't be like this. And I'm going to try to explain this real quick because, like, when we started walking on here, and people would stop and talk and visit about, listening to old tapes and visiting and it's overwhelming. I was talking to Patty, my wife. She said, "Tell y'all hi." She something else had come up. She couldn't come, but she knows a bunch of y'all, and she just like, God. I was trying to explain to her, and I just failed. I don't have the verbiage to do it. Y'all are pretty special, folks, and yeah. Yeah, bless you. If you need anything in Texas, well, y'all give us a holler. God dang it. I got to mention this real quick. And also, too, with Lee's tapes, it's good to see Lee again, and I haven't seen him in a bit. And any of you guys that want to buy CDs and that kind of stuff, we need to keep these guys in business. I'm going to tell you, so many of y'all that I talk to, I heard your CDs, I heard your talks. Okay, guys, I don't know how they get out there on the internet, but they did. But they started with somebody taping them. And if we're losing these guys, there's not a lot of them out of business anymore. And so, y'all support him as if you can. And yeah. I want to share a little bit. This is a big old room. I'll look away. Hi, guys. Bye, guys. I can't see them. Yeah. My neck, I'll get whiplash if I look over there all that. But Marty last night said something. He talks about sharing from the podium, sharing from our perspective. And my perspective, as guys said, guys, may be different than your perspective. Okay, and I've been doing this for a long time now, and I can't share without saying it. Guys, my experience may be different than your experience. And I'm not up here pointing a finger telling you what you need to do. I think AA would work a hell of a lot better if you did. I'm lobbying for King of Alcoholics Anonymous job here. Pretty good. Come on, guys, because I know it. It's like I know you guys. If it's what you're doing is working for you, rock on. My heart goes out to the little ones that are sitting in the room defending their right to be wrong and being absolutely miserable. And I got to tell you, folks, and I'll say it from the podium. Some of you might consider this, a little controversial. It's not okay that you're miserable. That's not a part of this. Never has been, never will be. Life's tough, folks. We all got to go through some tough stuff. But some of you guys are hurting. And there's a reason for that. Just let's visit. I just bless your heart. I I work in a treatment business, guys. I've done clerical work. I worked for Alumni Department for 30 years of my 35 years sober. And I absolutely love working with alcoholics and little dope fiends. And I get to see a lot of people, guys, come in. I get to see a ton of these people come in, and they'll get past the detox a little bit. You'll go see them and make sure they're okay. And they got banana pudding all over their face, where they've been trying to eat. And just bless their little heart. And they look up and realize that we're a 12-step fellowship. They knew it before they got here, but somebody got them. And anyway, and they're grinding their teeth. I can't believe I came to a 12-step place. Oh, okay. I tried AA. It doesn't work. Okay, but I spent 7 years in AA saying the same thing. My little heart goes out to these people. Y'all understand? It absolutely does work when you follow some instructions. And when you don't, all bets are off. It's pretty simple. I heard a guy the other day all bowed up. He's on all kinds of medications, and he's just, God dang it, this will work for some and it won't work for others. That's just not true. It's not my experience. My experience is I've never sat down with a sponsee or anybody that willing to do a little bit of this work that doesn't get the relief that they're looking for. Never. So I sure got to pick up there. I got to thank Toby and Nick and golly, everybody else, Russ, anybody else that had anything to do with getting Myers and I here. They were just delights, and so good to share the podium with a bunch of folks that I hadn't seen in a while. And I just, God dang it, it's been kind of an emotional weekend getting to see some folks. And I kept notes so that I won't screw this up and take too long. I got a circuit speaker out there. If I mention his name, all of you would know it. Every time he sees me, he eats my ass because I take notes to the podium. If you write that down, how can God take you? Why don't you bite me, okay? I'm the one talking. God. I don't know what to tell you. We were born out in Odessa, Texas, and I need to tell you because I don't share it from the podium a lot of time. I got hit in the eye with a rock when I was a little kid. This is why the patch. And rock on, it's out in Odessa. There's nothing there but oil and rocks. And so anyway, Pops drug us out of there. And my twin, I have a twin brother. Y'all heard Myers, the evil twin. If he's going to talk about weasels from the podium, y'all know he's okay, I'm just saying. I got two sisters. I got a little sister and an older sister. They've never had a problem with alcohol. Y'all get it. Genetics. We talked about it the other day. Some of y'all have come and talked to me about it. It's still amazing how people are so dug in. You want to continue to blame your alcoholism on something out there. Guys, I tell you this real quick. Trauma can be the triggering mechanism. It looks like. The studies are showing that it could possibly absolutely affect you, and it is important to deal with. But unless you're genetically predisposed to this illness, you're just going to be mad all day long. Okay? You're not going to be drinking yourself to death. Guys, it's genetics, period. About 60% of this is, last studies looked like. I'm just saying it because, my father was an alcoholic. He's the nicest, sweetest guy you'd ever come across. And it's funny, some of the other speakers have been talking about it. My dad was a World War II vet on Okinawa, and he's a wonderful man. He was a lithographer, he was a printer, and a craftsman. He was a bookbinder by trade, and wonderful. My mom was a professional artist. You can look up M. Lois Raymer. She was awesome. Tons of talent in my family. I got none of it. I got my dad's shyness. Yeah. His bad posture, his high cholesterol, and his, and his alcoholism. I also got his great work ethics. Guys, there was no goofy stuff. You listen to some of these speakers, especially the California ones, they seem like, I was raised by a pack of wolves, and it's just like, oh my God. I'm sorry, I wasn't. Some of y'all look disappointed. We moved to the hill country up there, Ingram, Texas. It's right there on the Guadalupe River, folks, and just the other side, right around Kerrville, Texas, which is about 60 miles northwest of San Antonio. That's where we fly in and out of, and just beautiful place to live, folks. And again, hindsight, looking back, we didn't have a lot of money, okay, but I never went to school with dirty clothes, and we always had food on the plate, and sometimes it was fried bologna, but nothing wrong with that, I like fun. I mean, come on. And guys in high school, Mom asked me one time, I got to tell you because it's just vivid. She was looking out of her studio window and she could see me sitting at a picnic table down by the yard. And she come down there and snuck up on my blind side and, what? And she says, what's wrong with you? I'm 13 years old, guys. Okay. She said, what? I says, I feel useless. I just don't feel comfortable in my skin. And I didn't know how to articulate that at 13, but I'm doing the best I can. Y'all follow? She just hugged my little neck, says, it's going to be okay. I was 13. I'm 4 years away from my first drink. That's called untreated alcoholism. Guys, some of y'all look back at your life. Look at your life before you ever started taking a drink and then match them up with the bedevilments on page 52. A lot of you guys were miserable little cusses. Okay. I'm in high school, guys. I was a busboy at the end of the hills. There's a big old hotel, and I saw those cooks in the back. And Mom had some pull with the owner, and got me a job. I got a job of cooking, and that was going to be my. I wanted to be a chef. I'm looking back there, and those little guys are all drinking on the job. They all got a bottle of beer underneath the counter. I guarantee you. Never mind. What is it about people in the food business? We just kind of gravitate to it. But it was there, and there was girls back there, and there was rumor that some of them were doing a little poke. Oh, I mean, I want to cook. This is good. And I had a friend of mine that stole a bottle of Boone's Farm apple wine. Yeah, the size of these bottles here that we're drinking water out of. Y'all got it? I say this all over the world, guys, when I share like this, and all the old hippies light up. They're just smiling. The rest of you, some of you little young pukes, the next time you relapse, go see if you can find some. Boone's Farm apple wine. It tastes like crap. Okay. Yeah. And I went, yeah. And he took a couple of sips. It was January 1971. It was the month and year that Bill Wilson our co-founder passed away. I took my first drink. I'd had sips of Dad's beers occasionally like that, but this is the first time I'd ever had any alcohol in my system to do anything. Enough in my, yeah. And he's left. He says, I don't like the way that tastes. I says, I don't either. And he said, I'm going to go home. And I says, okay, but you don't want any more of this, correct? He said, that's correct. He was a wonderful kid. And I sat down there underneath that big old cypress tree, 700-year-old cypress trees down there. And I leaned up against one of those and looked at that big old full moon up there and that cold. Finished that bottle off, walked back across the field to the house and called the prettiest girl in high school. Yeah, she was not interested in talking to me at 10 o'clock at night. Yeah, it didn't matter a bit. Okay, fine. I'll see you later. It's no big deal. First time, this little shy guy, and y'all know this, I am the shyest guy in the state of Texas. Funny how God does this. This is nuts, but it fixed what was wrong with me, guys, and I made a commitment. I'm going to do this every chance I get. I've heard 1,000 speakers from 1,000 podiums say the same thing. It fixed what was wrong. Y'all understand? I didn't get drunk. I didn't rob a liquor store. Didn't take my clothes off. Didn't do a bunch of crazy shit. I got okay. I'm going to tell you, folks, your families don't understand that. There's a lot of people in Al-Anon that'll understand it, I guarantee you. But there's a lot of people, a lot of doctors don't understand it. Employers don't understand it. They think you're, drinking for a reason. God, how many of y'all drank when everything was really good in your life? I'm not going to do this all night long. How many of you drank when everything was crap in your life? Okay. When you had a lot of money. No money. Listen to Merle Haggard. The Eagles. When it's hot outside. Oh, danger, danger, trigger, trigger. Guys, there's nothing causing us to drink. Yeah, my mom, until the day she died, we had conversations about it. She still blamed Myers and our alcoholism for the fact that she divorced my dad in high school. If I'd have stayed married to your father, y'all probably wouldn't have been alcoholic. Everybody wants to connect the dot. Why is she drinking? Okay, I'm not saying that external stuff didn't exacerbate the daylight. It made it worse. I gotcha. Didn't cause it. It's funny. I wish y'all could see this up here. Some of you guys are nodding your head, and some of you guys are boned up because I'm messing with your excuse. My sponsor said, one of the best things I can tell you, Chris, is this. Nobody out there has to change for you to be okay. That's freedom. Because what happens if those SOBs don't change? Now you messed up. It's pretty cool. I left after high school and had a chance to go work at a big old hotel in Houston, Texas. And I'll never forget. Myers had gone away for a year of school, and I stayed in the hills. And we decided to go to Houston. He got a Volkswagen somewhere. I don't know where he got it. A Volkswagen Beetle. On the back of it, there was a bumper sticker. I'll never forget it. It says, "Get drunk and be somebody." And we're like 18, 19 years old. Y'all understand? We can't even buy booze in Texas till we're 21 at the time. And it was like, and we're driving into Houston and like we got an apartment with like 40 other kids. I don't know. It's, beanbag chairs, blue shag carpet. Come on, guys. It was heaven. Yeah. Got some guys to buy us booze next door, and we do it. And I turned out to be pretty good as a chef. As a cook, I was a little commis de cuisine, and working in the kitchens and doing the little grunt work. And like I said, I got my father's work ethic, and you couldn't, when alcohol worked for me, you couldn't touch me. Y'all follow? No kidding. I mean, y'all know pictures of John Travolta carrying those paint cans? Yeah, that's me. No, really, I was smoking. I was awesome. God. One of the things that happens, though, how we do is that I have a tendency to be always greener on the other side. I'm looking around, and, in the food business, you can do that. You're drinking on the job. We can do that. We sat down at 9 o'clock and go through the function sheets for the day and have a beer. And, we're drinking. A couple of years there, and I took a job in Austin, Texas. It's like there's no booze in Austin. And, but I wasn't trying to stop, but it's starting to catch up with me a little bit. And I got a sous chef's job at the country club out there and doing pretty well. Stayed there a little bit and then moved to Atlanta, Georgia. Came back, went to Vernon, Texas. Came back, went back to Houston, Texas. Any of you guys ever make a geographic? Yeah, I still drive a pickup because you just never know. You got to throw some shit in the car and go, And one of those moves, back to Houston, I met this little girl. We bought a little barbecue restaurant, and this was a pretty cool little place, and opportunity to make some real good money back in the day. And I married her, and Myers had moved away. He moved up to North Texas, and I left and moved up there to be closer to him, and got a job at a country club. We bought a little house, I think 13% interest, if I remember. It was crazy, and got everything. In Texas, that's what it is. Y'all understand? Job, girl, pickup truck. If you got that, score. It doesn't get any better than that. And I got it. And I remember her coming out and asking me one time, she says, "What's wrong with you?" Just deja vu with my mom, coming out. I just don't. New little house, truck, job, everything on the outside looking pretty good. I just feel uncomfortable. I just feel useless. I don't like who I am. Start seeing a therapist. Oh my goodness. I came home one night, and I'd been working with a chef, and this was in the early 80s, and I know this is AA, but early 80s in the United States, everybody was doing cocaine. Y'all remember Miami Vice? Everybody. Can I get a witness? I know. Even people that didn't do drugs were doing drugs. I mean, that, Oh, it's a wedding. Oh, what's that white stuff? Oh, never mind. Let's go. And we'd been partying a little bit. We'd just done a little of that, and I had been drinking. And anyway, came home. I don't remember what the fight was about. Y'all have heard me talk about this before, but I just got to say, I had a pushing match. And again, raised in the front row of the Baptist church, we don't do that. And she asked me to leave, and I did. And came back a few hours later. She let me back in the house and said, "Come on." She says, "Let's hear it." And I told her. She knew I was drinking. She didn't know how much, and she had no idea about the other stuff. And I told her, not even with her. And she said, "Listen, we just got to get real clear on this. If you want to stay married to me, you're going to have to stop drinking. We're done." I will. And I looked her in the face with tears in my eyes and promised her I would never touch another drop. And I meant it with every fiber in my body. There's always some smart ass in the group that want to say, "Hey, if an alcoholic's mouth's moving, he's lying." That's just not true. It's pretty disrespectful. I watch people come into treatment all the time with tears, and I'm just begging for help. I didn't understand that I didn't have the power to manage the decision to stay stopped. Week and a half later, I had a beer with the chef after work, and I'm patting myself on the back because I didn't get drunk. I just had a beer. And came home, and she smelled it, and that was it. We were done. She'd had all that fun she wanted. I started going to Alcoholics Anonymous the next day. Y'all follow it? Because I'm trying to save the marriage and all this. And I went to guys, I'm going to tell you, up in North Texas, they were the sweetest people on earth. The single nicest people you'll ever come across are in Alcoholics Anonymous. And they were peaches. I was in an area where there wasn't a big book in the place where I was going to meetings. And there was a lot of well-meaning people. I pick up a chip. We keep coming back. Okay. And I did. I'm a meeting-making fool. And I can't stay sober. I spent the next 7 years, guys, I never picked up a 30-day chip. Y'all fine. Every time I'd come back in, they'd do the same thing. Oh, well, we got a guy coming back in now. Why don't we go around and tell Chris how we got here? Let me guess. Oh, shit, you drink too much. No, really, guys. I'm going to soapbox it for 10 seconds. Quit. I know your stories are so important. Friday night, you better have one. I'm going to sit down and 12-step Toby because I need to tell a few little stories. He's going to tell a few stories, and we're going to, y'all follow? That's how the book tells us to do that. Get there and visit with him because pretty soon he's going to ask the question. It's like fishing. Click, 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 click. Just easy. Easy. He'll say, how come you're not drinking? How did you do it? Sit the hook like that. Reel him in the boat. He's yours. Guys, this stuff of coming back in every time somebody picks up a chip and we're going to go around and tell it, y'all understand, we're killing people with that nonsense. There's not a place in the book that it says do that. Some of you guys think that this is into scare. Let's just tell the worst scary stories. Like you think for a second that I'm going to ever do what you're doing? I ended up doing a lot of what y'all did. But you can't stop because of that. Some of y'all are grinding your teeth. I'm just saying. My book talks about pulling the newcomer with a vision. I can't stay sober. I'm picking up chips. Last time I picked up chips at those groups, nobody applauded. Why should they? They knew I wasn't going to stay sober. Anyway, I'm sitting in those meetings with my arms folded, waiting to be offended. So I could leave. Y'all follow? Sit out in the parking lot, smoke a butt, get in the truck, roll the window up and go. I'd get miserable, go back. I know you're staying sober. I see a whole room full of people staying sober. How come you can stay sober and I can't? You just didn't want it bad enough. Oh, God. 1987, I'm working for my twin brother. Thank God. I mean, if it wasn't for family, Myers hired me. I'm too sick to cook anymore. I can't stand. I got kidney damage and liver damage, and I'm on 7 prescription medications a day. Okay, these are all doctor prescribed prescriptions too, guys. I'm not out there doctor shopping like some of you losers. I'm legit. I am legit. I'm on all these medications and I'm seeing a therapist. Y'all got it. I got a little psychiatrist working, and I've been to IOP. I've been to treatment. I got my Gorski relapse prevention workbook, and I'm and I go home and I pick up a stack of return checks in my little mailbox in my little raggedy apartment. Y'all understand it? Every time I'd go to these meetings, guys, and you guys would say, "Keep coming back. We'll see you tomorrow," whatever, like that. And I'm going to go home and sit in that little apartment by myself with 2 stinky little ferrets, a little black and white TV, furniture that doesn't match because everybody is giving it stuff to me, bless their hearts. And I'm alone by myself in my own head. I can't. It's just a terrible place to be. Anyway, I'm done, and I fed the ferrets and watered the little sick ivy and straightened up a little bit and went to the medicine cabinet and took a couple of bottles of pills and tried to off myself. The spiritual piece of this, guys, is that I heard a voice that night as I laid down on the side of the bed and say, "Don't do this, go back to AA." It kind of freaked me out. I don't know what I heard, guys. That's what I heard. And I got up and made myself sick and laid back down on the side of the bed and conked out. The next morning, that voice was still there. Go back to AA. And I'm arguing with the voice. Y'all follow? Guys, 7 years I've been in AA. It won't work. God dang it, I'll go. Anyway, I had to work late that night. And which was odd for me. And I was too late to go to the meetings I used to go to, and I went to this other meeting. Somebody had showed me, a guy we worked with, it was in Alcoholics Anonymous, and he showed me that meeting one night, and he said, this is a big book meeting over here. If you get ready to get sober, come to this meeting over here. And I didn't know what that was. All I knew is that you probably weren't going to get a date in that room. So I walked in that meeting, folks, and I parked in the back. I got to laugh at it. I parked in the back so I didn't want anybody to know I'm coming back to Alcoholics Anonymous, because this is anonymous. I didn't want anybody to know. All you had to do was look at my pickup truck and know that I was an alcoholic. Y'all seen them? Yeah. It looked like one big whiskey dent with a license plate duct taped to the back, and it's just, God dang. And I parked in the back. It was so funny. I'm telling my mom, this was anonymous. I don't want people to know. She says, oops. I said, what? She says, I told every church in North Texas that you were in Alcoholics Anonymous. No shit. Myers will be laughing about it. She even told the Catholics. My little Baptist mother called them. Oh, my God. Everybody knew. Oh, my God. It worked. I was in this meeting, walked in the back door, and this little girl was standing there, and people are laughing and just having a good time, and I've got real self-conscious. I'm detoxing, and I got real self-conscious, and the chairperson says, Chris, come up here and sit with us up here. They'd seen me up in North, and I said, I'll be back. I'll come back Monday, and we'll. I start to walk out, and this little girl gets her finger in my belt loop. She says, sit down, cowboy. You're not going anywhere. And she's laughing. I'm not a cowboy, thank you very much. And she's setting me down in a chair. And her sponsor was across the way, this nice old lady, and she couldn't get to me. She said, get him. No, really. I get emails from all over the world. Men sponsor men and women sponsor. She didn't sponsor me. I asked her. She said no, but She just stopped me from leaving the room. Y'all understand, if I'd have left that room, I'd have died. It's just that as I was never going to go back. She sat me down, got me a cup of coffee and paper towels to clean it up. And the chairperson went around the room and started talking about things. He said, let's talk about how our lives have changed as a result of working the steps. See, I expected, let's tell Chris how we got here. And here we go again. I'm going to get to hear about your drunk driving charges and how many times you've been to prison and how many people you chopped up and put in plastic bags. And no, really, guys, sit with me for a second. How many people do you think we killed doing that? That nice lady that's a real alcoholic sitting in the front row's got to get a sheet signed. She's got a $600 Louboutin bag sitting in her lap. Y'all understand? She ain't going to get a drunk driving charge. Probably. No, but we're going to scare her to death because you're sitting there thinking, well, God dang it, you got to have a drunk driving to qualify to be an alcoholic. That's what I thought. That's why I never could sit all the way. I called myself an alcoholic. I didn't even more believe it than the man in the moon. Lady at the caddy corner across there had some car keys, and she was a year or something sober, and she had some keys, and she just got her a brand new car. I just got turned down for a $500 car loan for an old beat up pickup truck that was a little newer than mine. She got her a brand new car. The guy sitting next to her started a little landscape business. He was all excited about making some money. Lady at the end of the table, she was about 40. I was 35. She was about 40. She'd gone back to art school and got her degree. The kid sitting next to me kept tapping me on the shoulder. I couldn't see him. And got a billfold. He opened it up with Polaroid pictures in there of his little rat kids. He'd come to AA, met a little girl, and they'd had some little babies and just... They asked me if I wanted a chip at the end of the meetings. I said, yes, absolutely. Guys, those people gave me exactly what I needed. Can you ever not think about taking a drink? There's so many people out there that go to these meetings and people go gather around and tell us what we can't do. You can't date for the first year. Show me in the book where it says that. Oh, some of you got really lockjawed there. You dating specialists. Oh, my God. I've seen this. Guys, what? You're blaming the girl for why the guy got loaded? That's bullshit. No. Guy got loaded because he didn't work the steps. Can y'all say, you can't get a job. You can't do this. You can't make any major decisions. You can't do this. You can't. It's this dogmatic crap drives me crazy. Broad highway? What's broad about that? We're not therapists or counselors. We're people that are supposed to be carrying this message. My book, Bill Wilson said it, Myers quoted it the other day when he talked, our chief responsibility to the newcomer is an adequate presentation of the program. Well, I'm sitting in AA for 7 years and never had an adequate presentation of the program. I don't own a big book. I've never had a sponsor. I sure know how to say them one-liners, though. Easy does it. Think, think, think. What? Sorry. At the end of the meeting, I got my chip and I got my stuff. I'm heading out, and these two old guys got between me and the door. I'll never forget it. And they said, Chris, sit with us for a few minutes. I noticed you don't have a big book, but we're going to get you one. But hopefully, we're trying to figure out why you can't stay sober. And I'm indignant. Y'all follow? I told you, I got a psychiatrist. I'm under doctor's care. There's a lot of people, treatment centers, a lot of people trying to help me get sober. And these two old country bumpkins are going to try to help me. Y'all follow? I mean, it's like, come on. I'm a little bit more complicated than that. No, you should have seen this guy. This guy had them old gray slacks on, country western, got a belt buckle about the size of a dinner plate. White snap shirt, cowboy hat. Y'all know exactly the guy I'm talking about, right? Well, he's got a Cadillac out in the parking lot, a Cadillac convertible with bull horns on the front. Now, I'll tell you this, you think I'm making it up. His name was J.R. I'm going, really? And he sat me down, him and this old boy named Wayne, and they sat down and they opened a big book and they cherry-picked it, and they opened a page and they showed me a couple of pages in the doctor's opinion where it talked about the phenomenon of craving, and they flipped over to page 24 and started talking to me about the mental obsession. In 20 minutes, they qualified me. They read the questions on the top of page 44, and they qualified me as an alcoholic. I'd sat in AA for 7 years, guys, and I didn't know if I was an alcoholic or not because my stories don't jibe with your stories. If you email me, I'll send you that little quick guide because I do one now with my little guys. I'll just say it now. We're driving people crazy, guys, of this reading. I have a sponsor, and we're going to start on the title page, and we're going to start reading. He's going to die if we're not careful. I love reading the book. Y'all understand that? I love it. We have a book study. We read the book and we talk about it. I'm all for that. I'm saying the little newcomer, guys, the clock's ticking. They set the booze down and the windows close in. And unless they recover, when that window closes, that obsession's going to come back and they're going to go get loaded. It won't have anything to do with what they did. Can y'all see that? Bill Wilson talked about there's a sense of urgency. Once you figure out that you're an alcoholic, guys, you'll do this work. It's not that complicated. I came back in and I went home that night with tears in my eyes knowing for the first time I didn't have all those psychiatric disorders. I'll cut to the chase. What I had was untreated alcoholism. And a lot of well-meaning doctors, thank you, they were never trying to hurt me. I didn't have clinical depression. I wasn't bipolar. I was an untreated alcoholic. And when the alcohol stops working, guys, we spin out. We'll take pills. We'll do whatever we can do to try to feel better. Oh, my God. The next morning, they showed me how to make a pot of coffee. I'd spent 7 years in alcohol and never done anything. Y'all understand? That circle triangle, doesn't understand that service piece? I've never done anything. After that meeting, we went in the back and chased some Al-Anon ladies out of their back room. And three of us got on our knees and did a third step prayer. Got up, went to lunch, came back, and they gave me a little notebook and they said, Chris, start writing the people you're pissed at. Let's start making the list. 2 weeks in, I've got a completed 4-step ready to do a 5th step. Not 6 months, not a year. Y'all got, this is not a race. Yes, it is. When you take the alcohol away from me, I'm going to get worse, not better. And I need to have that spiritual experience. Those early guys in Alcoholics Anonymous, none of those. Read the history. Nobody took that long to do the steps. We'd have a lot more people staying sober if we did. God, I'll never forget it. 2 weeks in, I've got a completed 4-step. I'm sitting on the tailgate of my truck up in the apartment complex where I live, and it dawns on me. I'm surrounded by liquor stores. It's Friday. Myers has paid me. I got money in my pocket, and I don't want to drink. First time in my adult life that I didn't want to get loaded. Went up in the apartment and washed some dishes and fed the parrots and just cranked up some hot rock and roll and just had a beautiful evening. Yeah. Listen to the old guys and you can't recover that fast. Yes, you can. Bill Wilson's like a third day in detox. Third day in detox when he starts having his barn-burning spiritual experience. Ebby was working with him. It took him to treatment. Got him in, visited him, take him some reading stuff to learn. God, we gotten so smart. We won't do that anymore. I just got to. I'll tell you real quick what happened. The week after, I'm sitting on that tailgate. That one of those same guys that 12-stepped me that night sat with me after the meeting. Said, Chris, we got a group conscience coming up next Wednesday. He says, come sit with us for a bit because we want to nominate you for chairman of the cleanup committee. Because I'm a cook. I was a chef for years, and I know how to clean a kitchen. Okay, I got that. Yeah. I says, I'm so not interested. Remember me, the newcomer, the most important person here? I got my little desire chip, He's looking at me. He says, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing, brother. He says, come on, help us out. I said, nah, I don't want to. He said, well, come to the group conscience anyway. So I go to the group conscience. Y'all know the deal. You could have heard that train coming. There was about 30 people in there. They unanimously voted me in as chairman of the cleanup committee. I was so pissed. I went in after the kitchen. That guy's over there got that smirk on his face, and we were emptying the coffee pots out. And I says, listen, if I'm going to do this, could you give me a list of the other committee members so I can organize a cleaning rotation? It's just like sister's laughing. He spit coffee clear across the kitchen. He says, there's no committee. You're the janitor here. Open the closet. Here, meet Mr. Hoover. I stayed away for 2 days, guys. I'm a 6 o'clock meeting making guy, and I stayed away for a couple of days because I was going to punish him. And finally, Myers let me off about 1 o'clock, and he's not even sober yet. He's fixing to be. And I got the keys, and I locked myself in that club Friday afternoon, and I cleaned that club like a big boy. And all that brown stuff in the coffee pot. Come on, guys. Yeah. What is it about AA club bathrooms? What do you think? It's like an Exxon station. What are you doing? If you drop it on the floor, oh my God. And I cleaned that place up. I'm going to tell you, I set those chairs up with a ruler and I measured. Listen real quick. I'm watching that clock. It's about 5:30, I got coffee made, 6 o'clock meeting starting, and I hear the door open up in the front, and I hear this little slip and slide, and there's a linoleum floor down the middle of this club, and I can hear this little lady coming in. I know exactly who it is. Y'all follow? She was the kind of matriarch of the group. She was like 140 years old when I got sober. She's little. She's like 2 feet tall. No kidding. She looks like a little question mark. And she's sliding her little feet. She's sliding along that. I can hear her. She's coming like that. And I can hear her squealing when she gets to the kitchen. Oh, my God. And she goes back around to the bathroom like that. And I hear her squeal again. She looks around the corner into the room. And I'm sitting there with my little Fruit of the Loom T-shirt, soaking wet. Did you clean this place? Straighten my... Yes, ma'am. I told this at Founders Day. I told this story 1,000 times. I can't say it without wanting to cry. I can still... She slid right on back behind me. I'm sitting at that 6-foot table, and she's got her little bony arm around my neck. She gives me a little back hug. I can still feel her voice on my cheek. She said, boy, we need you here. God, y'all have any idea how long it had been since anybody had said, we need you to do anything but other than leave the premises? We need you to put your hand behind your back, sir. One time. And this little lady. Y'all understand what this... I landed in a group full of people that knew that if they didn't give me a job, I wasn't going to stay. It's one of the deals in the early days of Alcoholics Anonymous. The guy that took Alcoholics Anonymous to Texas had never even been to a meeting, much less 90 meetings in 90 days. They gave him a big book. He was sick. He had a job in Houston. They got him on a bus, on a train, paid for his ticket. Larry Jewell. He went and he wrote the first brochures for Alcoholics Anonymous. He wrote. And he started every little meeting there in Texas, up East Texas, over to Austin, back over in Kerrville. One of his proteges lived in the same town I live in. It's just, this guy had never even been to a meeting. But he got out there and started helping other people get well. That's what this is about. I got to read this real quick. This COVID. When COVID hit, there were so many groups that got in trouble. Y'all thought they were closing down all over the country. It was amazing. We watched so many people. I'm in the treatment business again, and I never saw so many double-digit sobriety folks relapse and end up having to come back to treatment as I did in the first 2 years of COVID. These people couldn't go to meetings, and they weren't going to get on Zoom like I wasn't. You can't bond with people on Zoom. That's stupid. Yeah, you can. I do it every week. But they didn't go to meetings, and so without the meetings, there was nobody to work with, and they got loaded, and they started coming into treatment. Well, the first thing that these people, the therapists, would ask them to do, okay, well, you're going to have to come back as a newcomer. You're 26 years sober. And I watch you guys do it all the time, sponsor. Well, you're going to have to fire all the people you're sponsoring, and you're going to have to... Stop. Don't do that. My book says this on the bottom of page 129. Even if he displays a certain amount of neglect and irresponsibility towards the family, it's well to let him go as far as he likes in helping other alcoholics. During those first days of convalescence, this will do more to ensure the sobriety than anything else. Do you get it? In those first days of convalescence, nothing's going to help that cat stay sober is intensive work with. Get into some service. Go make a pot of coffee. Them old bastards in AA, I'm telling you, you find a job in AA, you'll stay. These guys had double-digit sobriety. They were kicking butt. Now we're going to ask them to come back and be a newcomer. They're not newcomers. Stop. Ask them to come back in and take their place in the trench with us, because we need them. There are more people coming into treatment than you can shake a stick at. Every time you turn around, there's another paper out there. We're going to microdose. We're going to do this. We're going to use ketamine. We're going to do this. This is all going to fix the problem. Suboxone, the answer to alcohol, is absolute rubbish. You know what the solution is? Work and self-sacrifice for others. Alcoholics Anonymous works. God, I got to tell you. Get them back in the trench and let them help us. It's amazing to me how many folks out there. I got to say this real quick. I'm watching. I got a couple more minutes with you. I had. I was speaking in South Carolina in March, and I was supposed to speak at their state conference. And I got up Saturday morning. I was speaking Saturday night. I got up Saturday morning and fell on the floor. Turned out to be vertigo stuff that was going on, but I had no idea what it was. I'd never experienced anything like this. I'm an athlete. I'm in pretty good shape. Y'all understand? I stood up and fell on the floor. It scared me to death. And I called my host. You lucked out. So far, no call. Yeah. I called my host, and he came and got me. And he pulled some strings, called some people. They got me to today, if you want a doctor's appointment, you got to wait. They got me in, bam, just like that. And those people there on that committee, they took turns sitting with me in the emergency room. The CAT scans. We didn't know what It got me back to the airport the next morning. I, of course, couldn't talk. I couldn't stand from the podium. Still dealing with some of it. And there's not a day goes by that I don't get a call from some of those people in South Carolina checking on me. Guys, I'm going to tell you, folks, I turned 70 next month. I've been in here 35 years, and I've never experienced the kind of love that I've experienced in Alcoholics Anonymous. I've heard speakers share it all weekend long. Somebody gets in trouble, everybody jumps in there and helps. That's what this is about. All hands on deck. How many people did I help move when I first got sober? Y'all thought, come on. And that's what we do. What's that got to do with staying sober? Everything. Guys, Dr. Bob said it. Love and service is what this whole thing is about. You find a way to be of service in these fellowships. And if you've got a sponsor that won't let you do it, you're not sober long enough to do that. Have a conversation. Just say thank you. and then go do it. I got to tell you guys, because the spiritual warfare is real. This little voice in your head, like that, something starts to happen and you want to go help, and then your little voice says, no, you can't. I'm not sober long enough to do that. I'm not smart enough to do that. I can't do that. That's the stuff that keeps us, I had a Jesuit priest one time ask us, I said, do you think the dark side wants us dead? And we was at a men's retreat of 75 guys. Absolutely. Dark side doesn't want us dead. The dark side wants us ineffectual. Sitting on our butt alone in an apartment by ourselves. The spiritual warfare is that little voice that tells us that we can't do this. I listened to it half my life, folks. When it came time for me to start a little business, y'all follow? Myers gave me some spot on the shop floor there. He said, I wanted to start a little screen print business. And I got to the club and started talking about it. My sponsor said, buddy, just remember, you got a program to work too. Bop till you drop. Let's go. Had a friend right there sitting on the table, across the table, had a bunch of equipment in his warehouse over in Mesquite. He says, come help us clean it out. You can have that equipment. All of a sudden, you start moving. Y'all understand that, guys? You start moving and make a commitment that you want to do something. Watch and see what God does. God starts moving ahead of you. I don't want to sound like a Baptist minister up here, but y'all understand? There's too many people sitting in Alcoholics Anonymous, guys, just miserable. One day at a time, not drinking. It's like, boy, no thank you. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in going out there and setting the world, having some good times. Go travel. Go paint some pictures. Just get excited about your life. But if you're not careful, the people around you will slow you down. They'll put a big old cold water, bucket and dump it right on you. Well, we don't want to get too spiritual. Really? Oh, you little sunbeam, you little. I got to say this and let you go. I always tell this story, guys, but I got to tell it. And I'm, like I said, a cyclist, and we did this little 100-mile ride. Some of y'all have heard me talk about it, but it's still so applicable. I saw it again recently. And we're out riding, and everybody's got to do a 100-mile ride. It's like having sex. Sooner or later, you got to do it. I don't know. And we're out there riding, and it's going to be cold. We've got our cold weather stuff on, and we're going to set out, and we're going to do 100 miles. Okay, so we're riding out, and we get about 75 miles out there, and there's a big cold front had hit coming down. We knew it was going to get cold. We didn't know it was going to get cold. Like that, this stuff's coming straight across the country, right? And the cattle guards out there icing up. Y'all know what cattle guards are? Yeah. And we pull into Fredericksburg. It's about 25 miles from home. We'll stop. And we're out of food. We're out of water, everything. Everybody's pooling their money and we're eating candy, anything to put energy in us so we can finish the ride in this ride. Some people had phones and they could call people to come pick them up, and we didn't. There was about 9 of us, I think. And we're going to have to ride back in. And it's getting dark. This is going to be torture. We prayed up a little bit and all got on our bikes again and head out. The point I'm saying, usually the big hammerheads, and anytime you're riding, everybody takes a turn pulling. Follow? It's like in a peloton, and then you drop back, and it's like geese flying, and then you drop back, and somebody else takes the lead. They didn't do that. The last 25 miles, the hardest, strongest riders in there took the lead. They did the pulling. There was one guy in there that had light on his bike. We used to ridicule it. We called him Firefly. It wasn't cool to have lights on your back. Now everybody's got them because it's so dangerous out there with people texting and shit. But this guy was in the back, and that's where he stayed the whole time because the cars couldn't see us. The sun's going down. It's dark. The ice on the windshields. They can't. And we'd get out there on those cattle guards, and we'd fall. And everybody would stop. Nobody would take off. Everybody would stop. And we'd get the little new guys back on the bike, make sure they're okay, and we'd all head out again. I'll never forget that night, folks. All of us made it back to the place we started. We took our bikes and put them on the cars, and we went inside. There was a little sauna in there. We took showers and got in the little sauna and just sitting there looking at each other, like, huh? Huh? We had done something. It was a bloodbath. We did it. Everybody had their little job. That's what this whole thing is about, folks. I quit riding for a couple of years, and I got back on a bike, and I was out there the first time, and some of the people that were on that death ride were there. And they were over there. We were hugging and talking, and a little newcomer came up and says, "What's all the excitement about? What's that? What are y'all talking about?" And one of the girls said, "Don't worry about it. You wouldn't understand. You weren't there." Guys, there's so many people that don't understand because they weren't there. That's why we need every alcoholic in this room, in the trench, helping us carry this message. No free ride. Somebody said the other day, no pets allowed, just service animals. That's what we're supposed to be. Guys, we need the people. What about in COVID? All those little geeks in the back that nobody would even talk to because they were so weird. Now all of a sudden they're out there running our hybrid meetings and our Zooms. Took the place of, what would we have done without the technical people? What would we have done without the service people? Look at this, the service. Yeah, my wife's the treasurer of our group. I wouldn't be a treasurer of an AA group for all the money in the world. No, I wouldn't. I don't balance nothing. I just like, and she can do it better than anybody I've ever seen. Everybody's got a job. The people that set the rooms up, the people that decorate, the people, guys, our computer guys. It takes every one of us to do this. Bill Wilson understood it and wrote about it. Find your little niche and get busy. Stop hiding behind I'm too busy, whatever. Everybody's schedules changes. I understand that. But the ultimate deal is, what can you do today to help the newcomer get the message? What can we do? I've never seen it fail, folks. I'll tell you this and let you go. This entire thing is about love and service. Just completely. If any of y'all ever need any help, guys, I'll have my business cards. I don't have a stacks of them, but y'all can take a picture of them if you want. I'll send you that information that I was talking about to help you with that, getting folks through the work quick. Read the history. Nobody was taking longer than a few days to work the steps. This nonsense of it's just unbelievably ineffective. Get out there and start doing it. If you're in a bad spot, that's what your sponsor's for. Call some buddies on the phone and try to network a little bit, because it's not okay that you're not okay. Your head's telling you that it is. It's just, again, that spiritual warfare stuff. Just some of you guys have been bebopping along and you're still kind of turned in on yourself. You'll experience it, guys. One day, especially if you're new, you're gonna hear something like this. No, really. Listen. And you're going to go, what's that sound? That's your head coming out your own butt. And you'll look around and says, "Oh my God, there's other people in here." I'm like, who knew? And you'll be able to start helping other people I don't know what your job's going to be in our rooms. I just know you find one. And your entire life will change, folks. And if any of y'all are ever in Ingram, Texas, anywhere over there, holler. If you need contacts anywhere, because we travel all the time, Myers and I, we've always got a bunch of people out there that they could hook you up and all that. So we're always around you. And hopefully y'all will always be around for us. We sure love you. Thank y'all for letting us come.
We have a gift.